What's up everyone, I'm here to do a review on the latest chapter of Toriko, which was released today. This was actually quite the chapter. I've already read it for you, so no live reading. I just went straight to it. Of the chapters and manga this week, Toriko is on the top as of so far. I haven't read One Piece or Naruto yet, but I don't think they will be topped they won't top Toriko. Hunter x Hunter, I don't think it's coming out this week. But without further ado, let's just get started on this chapter. The first thing is the mushy gushy rainbow stuff at the beginning. You know, this horse is galloping across 100 colored rainbow. I just thought it was just a little bit too much, as mentioned in my previous video. Having said that though, we have a very interesting thing. This is the very first time where all 8 kings are revealed, somewhat like the One Piece scenario when the shadow of the four monsters after you move past the red line into the I think it's called I forgot what the sea was called, but the harder sea, similar to the Gourmet World. Basically, you see like silhouettes of them, and it's the same thing that happens here. Now, I don't know where all these similarities are coming from. I don't think I'm just drawing them from my own mind. I think they're actually there. Perhaps Toriko reads One Piece, or they all read each other, and that's where they draw inspiration. The Gourmet World is very similar to Hunter x Hunter and One Piece's. And again, you see these similarities with the silhouettes. But it was brought to my attention, I think by one of my viewers, that as far as the Hunter x Hunter and Toriko comparison, with them moving on to another area, Hunter x Hunters came first for sure. Apparently the author had been planning it for years. Either it was someone who commented or some discussion on Manga Stream. But regardless, let's just deduce what these animals are. So there's 8 of them. We already know what some of them are, and the one on the left is very obvious. It's a tiger. So, or no, okay. That's the wolf. That's the wolf. Never mind. So we got the 3 we already know, which is the tiger, the snake, and the crow, I guess you could call it. So, the tiger's on the left. The crow I see at the bottom, I believe, with like all these scars on his face, pretty much like a Nitro because it's so zoomed in. On the right, I think it's that crocodile thing that was in Midori's flashback, so that makes 4. Which one's the snake? I think it's the one at the in the middle with the eye and the scales. The one to the left of that snake, we don't know what that is. It could be anything. It could be a monkey, just based off the ruffled skin above and below the eye and the way the eye is. It's either a monkey or like a wolf. Like the pupils of the eyes that are like slit like that, it can only be certain things. And so what are these last 2 then? Okay, so again, we can't tell. We really can't tell. It can literally be anything. In fact, another of them looks like a monkey. So we don't know what the heck is going on. Heck, humans are very bizarre creatures. They are, in fact, a variation of a monkey. So it's kind of like, kind of weird. But the rest are too hard to tell. Like, you can't tell what they are. But again, first time they're ever seen in this chapter. And obviously things are definitely changing, and I like how it's going. I like how it's progressing for sure. Last chapter was slow. This chapter is better. Whatever I rated last chapter, this chapter was 2 points better on a scale of 10. Amazing chapter, because it's starting to show that, hey, it's not just going to be some kiddish manga, and obviously there's been multiple moments where it hasn't been. But on top of that, it's like, yes, it is somewhat kiddish, and the anime version is very sort of mushy-gushy, which I felt was a bad move. Had they made it similar to how DBZ was when it first came out on Toonami, which was a very sort of angsty man's cartoon that was very gritty with the narrator who had that deep voice. Next time on Dragon Ball Z, will Frieza be killed by Goku? But if you've seen the Toriko anime, which I did for the first 100 episodes, very over the top. And then the English dub is even worse. Komatsu just sounds like a little, pussy kid. But regardless, this chapter sort of showed, hey, as the manga has showed multiple times, hey, this can be a very dark, awesome thing. But again, I think the anime has sort of screwed it up slightly. I'm sure once they get to this chapter, they're going to make it a lot different. Then, just this page in effect. This page 4 I'm looking at, technically page 3, you see all these dark images. You see the silhouettes of the blue nitro, which are just ridiculous. First off, there's different blue nitro and they all look scary as hell. And they're all black silhouettes, the dark silhouettes that all look very menacing. I'm almost sure that the anime will screw it up like it's done before. They made the menacingness of and mystery of Midora come out very weakened, too tailored to children. But again, that's why I like sticking to the manga for this. So let's just comment on the blue nitro silhouettes in this picture. We have this one elderly old nitro that's somewhat robotic and has yellow flashing eyes in the middle of the group, and you see all these different you see a buff giant blue nitro in the background and all these others. And long story short, every person in the world is pretty much alerted to the fact that, hey, this Horse King has birthed for the first time in centuries. Shit's going to go down, which I think is pretty amazing. And the blue nitro have perked up. Everyone's perked up. You see silhouettes of Midora and Jiro, who, again, ever since the Gourmet Coliseum arc with the cooking festival, not Midora, Setsuno and Jiro. You see Midora as well, but you see Setsuno and Jiro. Ever since that arc, Setsuno has just been so much more badass. She was already badass, but now you see a good darker and awesomer side to her. A badass side. And then we see this weird person. We don't know who it is. It's between the blue nitro and Jiro and Midora and so forth. And we don't know who it is, but his eyes are also slitted like the one of the not heavenly kings, one of the 8 kings that came before. So perhaps this is something that perhaps this is someone new, or am I missing it? Maybe it's someone we already know. Perhaps. Don't get your hopes up. I know who you guys think it is. Or maybe it's someone who controls one of the 8 kings, because the eyes are very similar. Something like the Naruto universe with the Sharingan and the Nine Tails. Who knows? But this chapter sort of definitely progresses, and again, it has its mushy moments with the whole thing about everyone hearing, all the good guys in the the human world hearing about it and saying, "Yay! I hear Komatsu's ring," and so forth, and the flowers blooming and so forth. But again, I thought it was still pretty awesome, and more so than that, though, I want to address one thing that has yet to be explained and will eventually. But this whole idea of how are they going to ship this food back? Apparently they have some sort of device that will just transfer the food back based on the path that they travel. This is some sort of gimmick that only works in Pokemon video games. I don't understand. It's if you travel all these bizarre places and mountains and tunnels to get to the Gourmet World, do you really think that an open path will just be there for you to just send food all the way back to the human world? It doesn't really make sense for me, but we'll see. Moving on from that, though, I definitely think, first off, Komatsu and Toriko's bond is stronger than ever, and the whole thing with him riding, with no clothing on, on Terry, who's already huge, pretty badass. And again, for the millionth time, if you haven't heard it enough, the way Komatsu cries, Toriko-san, Toriko-san, and he starts crying so bad, he's like, Dogigo-san, because he's, the crying is making him not articulate so much. It's, I actually like that, but other than that, it was somewhat mushy. Moving on though, to the next important part about this, Coco, with his vision, has pretty much identified that, hey, something's different. And in Toriko, they don't call it chi, they don't call it aura or energy levels, like in DBZ or Yu Yu Hakusho or whatever. They call this the atmosphere. They also mention aura, but it's like the atmosphere and aura around Komatsu and Toriko has been completely different. It's like something has awakened, and I just found that really amazing. It's like, holy crap, like I did not expect that from Toriko. Like whenever I feel, for the last 100 chapters or so, whenever I felt Toriko was going stale, and there have been huge arcs where it was stale, I'm not gonna lie. It keeps surprising me. It's like, hey, there you go. I bet you didn't expect that. And it's like, wow, I did not expect the whole thing with Toriko awakening another demon beast, getting stronger, and for Komatsu to do that. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm curious to see where it goes from there. As for the whole salad air, I thought it was really cool how it's described and how it's depicted. Obviously, I like the pictures and so forth. And obviously, the old Daruma-sama man's funny as hell. That moment where he's like, I'm completely cured, and you see his face when he looks at the air salad. Hysterical. It reminds me a little bit of Usopp. And again, last week's chapter of One Piece was amazing. I didn't have time to do a review on that. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But it was an amazing chapter. The air food in itself, okay, I thought it, everything sort of worked together. I was scared that the blue nitro would come and take it before they got to eat it, but everything seems to be working out. Toriko and Komatsu have eaten the fruit. And I thought maybe I was scared reading this chapter that, hey, before they put it in their mouth, something would have happened. I was scared up to the point where he sniffed the food, and he, until the point he actually put it into his mouth and ate it, I didn't breathe a sigh of relief because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was scared up until this point in the fact that maybe the Horse King would eat the whole fruit, the entire air, not just suck up the air that was released, but actually eat the actually prepared air fruit. And I was scared, then the bewitching food world would not be able to eat it. I was sort of scared, but it all seemed to have worked out. And I guess, the author opted for a happy ending to this arc at least. And, kind of somewhat bizarre how the Horse King refused to come and eat the actual fruit. But there you go. And again, I think this chapter, there's this one piece of dialogue, I think from the Daruma-sama, which reinforced what I had theorized, which was that never in its history was the air fruit, save for when Akatsuya prepared it, and perhaps that silhouette was Akatsuya, was this air salad prepared to 100% efficiency. The blue nitro only got to 80%. Before that, it sort of bloomed naturally, and I don't think those were 100% fruits. So it's quite amazing. Somewhat bizarre. I thought it would have been slightly better, although somewhat cheesier and too over the top, perfect ending if the Horse King came and ate the food itself. But again, I do have to remark on the fact that the way that they describe the actual salad is quite amazing. The way the author describes food, imaginary food, is just ridiculously amazing. The way he just merges things together and just says, hey, why don't we do this? I just think it's ridiculously amazing, his imagination, and I would really like to eat this fruit. Just quoting this, it's like, Toriko says, it's an incredible weight, it's like a piece of flexible lead. Its appearance looks like cabbage wrapped in layers, but when touching it, it feels like meat. It's almost like a living being. This slice looks like it comes from a high-grade animal. Even now it springs to life. Then he sniffs the fruit, and he finds that just from sniffing the fruit, the amount of air it gives his eyes and his blood vessels in his eyes allows him to see so well that he sees into space, and he sees all these galaxies in space. So first off, if you haven't already realized, there's been numerous foreshadowing events, or not that numerous, but in my opinion, it's pretty clear now that they will transition to space at one point. I hope they do. It's been predicted numerous times in the way past already by the manga reviewer King of Lightning, that they're going into space. And here's another example. And so, again, putting physics and practicality and realisticness into this equation, it's like, that's not how it works. Even if you provide the highest efficiency oxygen to your blood vessels in your eyes are only designed to see well to a certain capacity, and it requires more than just more energy to be able to see that far. It's a complete difference in physiology and how you see and the structure of your eyes to be able to see, to zoom in that far. It's physically impossible for such a small structure to be able to do that. So from a physics and mainly physics perspective, it doesn't make sense, and a biological perspective. But again, Toriko loves to do this sort of stuff. It did, like, just last chapter with the whole 1,000,000 tons or 1,000,000,000,000 tons of air shooting out in an instant through a hole. It's just unlikely, impossible. But then we get on to something more amazing. What appears to have happened is that first off, Toriko has two demons. His primary demon, his first demon, was the only one revealed in this chapter. He comes out, and I guess he says along with Toriko something, or like, it's hard to tell, but it looks like they say it together. Toriko and his inner demon say to Coco, Akatsu's full course, it really does have some incredible hidden power within. And again, it just alludes to that point back when he lost his fight to Starjin and lost Komatsu, when his inner demon was like, get me that man's full course, and then you see me fully emerge, which means the demon won't just be an aura, he will fully emerge from Toriko, which I just think is awesome. This whole idea of the demon thing, inner demons, genius, amazing thing, Toriko. But it's interesting, two things are interesting. One, the fact that only the first demon emerged. Obviously the second one's more hidden. Second thing is the whole fact that Coco remarks to Sunny and Zebra that, hey, our demons have not emerged despite the amazingness of this full course item. Does this mean that they've all conceded to Toriko's demon, or Toriko? And then even Zebra's like, mine's not exactly the obedient type, but they are appetite monsters. And he's pretty much like admitting, hey, they have conceded to Toriko. And then it's somewhat confusing because it goes Toriko and Komatsu-kun. So it's like, did these demons also concede to Komatsu-kun? So it's kind of like that thing where it's like you have this group of people like in Naruto, and it's like, or Shaolin Showdown if you've seen the last episode of that. But basically it's like, hey, out of the 4 Heavenly Kings, Toriko is number 1, which, I didn't really like it because obviously I rooted for Toriko for the longest time, and I like the Heavenly Kings thing. But then I didn't like it when they started making it something where it's like, all 4 of you work together as a team, you're all equals, and then they do that sappy sort of combined attack to destroy the 4 beasts. I thought that was cheesy, sappy. I didn't like this whole thing. Now they've brought it back to Toriko being the best one, at least for this specific scenario. It could mean that he's just the best one because this is an ingredient that shines best with Toriko, similar to how other ingredients shine best with other members of the Four Kings at one time or other. So we don't know for a fact, but again, it's sort of like you stop flip-flopping. Decide already. Hey, I just think, you know, the whole work together thing should just be removed. I hope they never bring back that whole combined attack with the Four Kings, but I'm sure they will, because there's a lot of foreshadowing with that. I just want them to break up as a team, still be friends and stuff, but this whole idea of them working together as a team, as equals, with Toriko being slightly stronger, too cheesy, too sappy, don't like it. Anyhow, though, there is one more thing I do have to say. Obviously, you know, I'm very excited to see the power-up advantage that these ingredients will in fact provide them. Who knows what's going to happen with Komatsu, let alone Toriko in the future. And finally, they've decided to make air their salad. Now, it leads to my final question, which is, Toriko's full course is almost complete. And at the rate things are going, it's like maybe the author, he was probably thinking this too. It's like the author's probably thinking, heck, I went too quick. Now I can't take it back. We've just started on the cusp of a whole new universe ready to explore. And now Toriko's full course is full of, like, if I were to make a Pokemon analogy, level 1 Pokemon, level 60 Pokemon, and level 99 Pokemon. It's like his full course is very bizarre, and I mean, when you compare that to other full courses like Akatsuya's and so forth, it's like most, if not all of their food are on a specific capture level. Toriko's, it's like very bizarre, like BB corns like capture level 10, rainbow fruits even worse, yada yada yada. Actually, rainbow fruit's up there, but you get the idea. Regardless, though, you know, it's Toriko. They still have 3 empty slots left. Obviously, I feel like the main course will be the best one, but we'll see what happens. And that was Toriko for this week. And obviously, you know, we'll see what happens in the future. There's obviously a lot of foreshadowing going on. It wasn't a perfect chapter, and I'm more so excited to see what they'll do with space and so forth. It was a very simple chapter at the same time. Wasn't perfect, and a little bit, you know, too simplistic. You sort of already knew what was going to happen in this chapter from just reading the chapter before. But at the same time, they did add in like a few cool stuff with the auras and them all coming together to eat this food, and that whole thing with the other demons bowing down, at least for this moment. And then that whole thing with his eyes in space. So that was pretty cool. And as always, like, favorite, comment, share, and subscribe to this video. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.